Today, Juliana and myself would like to talk to you about hacking and cracking tools and methods. Now, as you can see, there's usually 6 steps that's taken when you're trying to hack something. The first is reconnaissance, followed by gaining access, then privilege escalation, then you create a backdoor, you extract the data, and then you hide your tracks. Like I said, the first step is recon. Now, the point of this is to try to gain as much information as you can about the target. Now, usually the more time you spend doing this, the more information you'll have, and the easier the steps will be further on down. Now, there's a lot of different things you can get, whether it depends on server information, actual locations of data, personal users, things like that. There's 2 types of recon that you do here. The first is called passive recon. Now, this is where you're just kind of searching around the internet and looking for information about the company as much information as you can. After that, you're going to do active recon. Now, this is where you're actually trying to find out information about the internal network. Now, this is usually done through scanning and stuff like that, which this is where it starts to get more into the illegal side of things. Now, here's some of the tools that you can use. Now, some of the more popular ones is for passive recon. First one's called Netcraft. Now, what this one does is it's kind of like a port scanner. It scans for different types of equipment that's on the network. It also shows you like IP addresses, stuff like that. For active recon, a good one is Nmap. That's another type of network scanner. And with that one, you can get all different kinds of information, such like applications in use, ports, service data, things like that. The next part, once you've gained all that information, is you're going to try to actually break into the target. Now, this can be done through a lot of different ways, which I have listed here. This is where we often talk about in class in terms of, trying to hack into information. You've got your denial of service attacks, social engineering, just different ways of trying to get actually into the network. Now, here's some of the tools that's often used in this one. The most popular one is that Metasploit. Now, it uses, like I said, it uses payloads and known exploits and injects malicious code into the system. And this is a way of actually trying to hack through the code to get into the system using any kind of vulnerabilities that you've found so far. It's the one that's used more often. The other ones here, like the John the Ripper, stuff like that, that's actually used if it's actually like a Unix-based system. This one, the SQL map, is used when you got some kind of SQL system involved. So it really depends on what you found when you were doing the recon as to how you actually can get into the system. Now, once you've actually gotten into the system, most of the time when you get into it, you're into the system, but you don't have the type of rights that you need. Now, if you're wanting to extract data and stuff like that, you can't do that as a regular user. You're going to need either admin or a super user status. So once you've gotten into the system, you got to do privilege escalation to get you the type of access that you need so you can get the information that you're looking for. Now, this is where sometimes social engineering can get you the information, but a lot of times you have to do it through different ways. This is one of the tools here, another form of Metasploit, which goes through and it actually uses uploads a root shell to get into the target. Now, this graph here shows you the different types of escalations that you can get in terms of user access. So you're trying to get, usually when you break in, you're here at the user level, and you're trying to get up here into admin rights, so you can try to get all the information that you need. Once you do that, you can do the vulnerability exploitation, or the best way to do it is just to kind of create your own account, or just try to get into the admin account, whichever way is the easiest. So once you've gotten in there and gotten your admin rights, you're ready to get the information that you need. But really, the main thing you want to do is be able to create a backdoor. Now, you're doing this because you want to be able to get back into it later. Usually, a hacker is not going to go in and just get everything all at one time. They're going to do it in phases because you don't want all that data to be cut out at one time, because that'll be much easier to be noticed and tracked. So what you want to do is you want to create a backdoor. This is just a permanent way of being able to get into the network later on. As you can see here, it can be done through a secret account, a Trojan, or inserting code. One of the more the best ways usually is through inserting code. That way it's already in a program's existing code, which makes it harder to actually track. That's what this program here uses. It actually injects a backdoor into an active process, so that way it's actually within an existing process, which makes it much harder to be noticed because it's not something that's actually being used differently than everything else. But you have this one here, like this CryptCat, which just opens and maintains an encrypted connection between two systems. But that's a little bit easier to notice because it's actually creating a connection between the two that's always open. So that can be tracked a lot easier than something that's already attached to an active process that's running on the system. Next up is data extraction. So once you've created that backdoor and you have the admin rights, the next thing you want to do is you want to actually get the information that you were looking for. So listed here are some of the types of information that you're looking to get. You can get the registry and system files. This would be useful so that you can kind of get an idea of how the system is set up, how it's running, and things like that. This could be useful later on if you want to do different types of attacks. Password files, obviously, it is very, very useful. So you can get in further into systems, things like that, and also something you could sell depending on what you're trying to get into. Emails, obviously, that's a great thing for hackers. You've seen that with WikiLeaks, things like that, where they can hack emails and sell those out or just give them out for public knowledge. But also, you have other things here like documents, databases, source code. This is information that you can, mostly what you would do with this is get it and sell to someone else. So you could make a lot of money by doing that. Now here's some tools that can be used to do that. You got the Web Harvest here, which is a Java based. It's basically just a HTML type of code that extracts data. But I mean, really, once you've got admin access to the account, really, you can just pretty much pull it any way that you want to. So once you've done all that, the last thing you want to do is hide your tracks. Obviously, the last thing you want to do when you've gone through all this effort is actually be caught. So now you want to hide your tracks. So you want to do this by, as it's shown here, you want to remove your system logs and do your best to conceal the backdoor you created earlier. And like I said before, if you're using a backdoor that's attached to an active process, it's a lot easier to hide than something that's just a new process or something that's an open transaction door. So the main thing you want to do is just remove system logs so that they can't see that you actually were trying to move files, things like that. So here's some of the tools that you could use here. Some of them, like I said, one of the main things you want to do is you want to erase any kind of history that shows what you were doing. So you want to erase the command history, you want to shed any system files, and you want to use these type of programs here like Mac Changer. So you want to use this to, what it would do is actually conceal the MAC address that you were using to get into the account so that they couldn't attach it or try to actually have the MAC address of your computer. So that's one of the main things you'd like to have, because you don't want to be able to have your MAC address found. So that's pretty much it. That's the tools and methods that are used when you're trying to hack into a system. Thanks, everybody.